Welcome one and all to another episode of A Very Basic Space Program. It is episode 61, it is the 1st of March, and we have a space station in front of us. We can't quite launch it yet though because, well, we don't have the money, but we're gonna get it, Right, everybody, as I said, this is episode 61, it is the 1st of March. I should say before we start, you will notice that through March there will be a new series on the channel, March to Orbit. That will mean that the Very Basic Space Program drops to one episode a week just for March, just to give you that little hit of Very Basic Space Program. But please go and check March to Orbit out. It's a little bit RP-1, it's a little bit Kerbal Hard and Uncut, it's a bit in between. It'd be really good to get your feedback on that. Comment here about your thoughts on it, comment on the video, like, do all that sort of stuff, help the algorithm, all those things that I don't normally tell you to do. Right, what are we doing? So, we have got a situation whereby we have no money. And we can get some money, we can get some money by doing a space station, because that will give me 2 million up front, which will more than pay for the space station. However, I've got to put people on orbit for 30 days. We're going to have 2 crew on board. We have to dock 2 crew. Let me just check. So we have to have a new thing. We have to have capacity for that. We have docking port. Perigee has got to be greater than 250 kilometers. Apogee less than that. So we'll put it into about a 275 kilometer orbit, something like that. Bring at least 2 crew to the station. Have at least 2 crew members on board. Okay. Keep at least 2 crew members on board for 30 days. Okay. Have at least 2 crew members on board. Okay. Stay within those parameters for that time. Have at least 2 crew members on board onto a return craft, return them, and then what's this? Just basically have a station that's stable after that. Okay, so there's basically the steps, I think. So we have to put a station up, we have to put some crew on board, we have to keep them there for 30 days, we have to bring them back, then we have to keep the station on orbit. That's going to give us 2 million to start with, 900,000 extra. So we're looking at about 3 million funds from this. So we're going to take it. We need money, is basically what we're doing. We also have to start having a look at, where is it? Communications test satellite. Now, we're going to go into the menu for things, because what I really want to get to, because we're going to need to do it at some point, is geostationary communications satellites. We want to actually put a commercial communications satellite. We want a geostationary commercial communications network. That's what I want. We've done everything. We've done that. We haven't done geostationary commercial communications satellite. Okay, so we need to think about that. Geostationary commercial communications satellite, we need to do it twice. We currently can't get it because we haven't done commercial communications satellite early at least 2 times. So, communications, early satellite contracts, geostationary test satellite, communication satellite early, this one. We have one of it. Ooh, now, this has been sat for so long that it's now giving us a huge amount of money. Actually, it becomes quite worth it. We can do this, I think, so we'll take that as well. How long have I got to do that? I've got some time. We'll do that. Right. It gives me some cash up front. What else have we got? Well, we haven't got anything going to orbit or anything just yet. We do have our Venus Jupiter mission. Where's the Jupiter flyby? That needs to complete by 74. And that gives us a little bit of funds up front. It does tie up a window for this, though. So maybe we don't take that just yet. Got to fly within 1,500 kilometers, 150,000 kilometers, sorry. Okay, so we will take that nearer the time. It's only going to give us 150,000, right? What we're going to spend our money on straight away. Well, first of all, we've got to build our craft for our space station. So let's go to the VAB and I will show you what we have got. Right, so here we are in the VAB, and I'm going to show you the first craft that I've put together. First of all, you will notice, yes, this is sort of a Javelin 5. However, we are missing the second stage. I've taken the second stage out because our payload is only about 10 tons. So this thing will actually nicely put 10 tons into a really nice orbital opportunity. So we don't need to worry too much about that. What else, however, have we got on here? Well, let's do the old, let's just take the whole craft off. Let's get rid of the craft so you can see what we've got. We have our very basic station. What have we put together? Well, we needed capacity for 3 crew, so we had a choice. We could either put some Mark II pods, some things like that together, anything like that. We don't actually have anything. We could have put maybe some Vostok components, maybe, Voskhod components. They're very heavy. They're all very heavy. The lightest thing that I actually had, apart from the Mercury capsule, which I was tempted to use, but I thought, no, that's just silly, was these Mark 1 lander cans. So we've got 3 of those. Each one will hold a 1 crew, and it gives us a reasonable space. What else have I added on? Well, we've got these tanks here that have some... We'll get this out of the way anyway. We'll put that over there. We have some life support. How did I calculate life support? Well, if you go into the science menu, when you first get life support through Kerbalism, there is a thing you need to choose, and I will show you it. Let me put it in here. Kerbalism. And it looks like a thermometer thing. It's a Kerbalism config editor. So you just stick that to your craft. It weighs a lot of mass, so remember to take it off. You right click on it and you choose, I want to do Kerbalism engine, or you can do Kerbalism fuel cells. We're going to do Kerbalism engine, which basically means fuel. And then when you click, I'll do it on the center here. When you click on something that's got a fuel tank that will accept it, will it allow me to? I don't think it will. When you click on a fuel tank that will accept it, it will give you the correct ratios of food, water, oxygen. What it doesn't give you is lithium hydroxide or anything like that, so you need to remember to get that. So that's our fuel supplies down there, food supplies down there. And if we actually have a look, if I put crew on board, we'll just put a couple of crew on. We don't want to launch it with crew. If we look down here, I can actually scroll through and we can see food. We've got 48 days. We've got water, 48 days. Oxygen is perpetual, interestingly. We'll talk about that in a minute. Lithium hydroxide, 52 days. And then we've got some liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen. We'll talk about that. So that's our food supply sorted. By having these 3 habitats, we get a volume of 31 meters, which is good. It's very good for them. They like this. It means that they have a lot of space, so they don't get as stressed. We also have scrubbers and we have pressurization. I'll talk about that in a second. So you can see the stress levels. This is going to be important for us. We need our stress level to be to take a long time to go up, because we want them to be in here for 30 days. But potentially we might want to send up a craft in the future and keep them there longer. I have not put a docking port on the bottom. I could have, I have not. I've only put 1 docking port on. If we send up something in the future, it may be just something with 2 docking ports. It'll dock and just hold supplies that they can use, or we'll transfer supplies to the craft. I don't know what we'll actually do, but it gives us the opportunity to do that. Once we've got this in orbit. So what else have we got? Well, we have over here, we're going to fuel it with, we've got solar panels obviously, but they're not going to provide all of the power. They're just going to be a backup really, to give us a little boost. We will have we're going to have fuel cells. So we've got 4 fuel cells. I don't actually need 4. I probably, actually looking at that, only need 2. The reason I have 4 is because when the craft on the top is attached, if its avionics is around, it runs down the battery like nothing. So particularly when it arrives, we're going to shut its avionics off and move the crew to here. But I may want to just bump up the electric charge production at certain times, just so it's fully charged, or when it's departing, it's fully charged, something like that. Use up the last of these fuels. So there's that there. We've also got up here, we have a little converter of liquid oxygen to gaseous oxygen. I don't know if you actually need that. Everything down here seems okay without it, but I think you should probably have something, because we want to turn some of our liquid oxygen to gaseous oxygen, but we can turn that off, and you see it doesn't actually change anything, I don't think. Let's have a look. What's it do for oxygen? Yeah, we've got set days for it, so we can turn that off at the moment. Yeah, I put it there primarily just to balance out the craft, because on the other side we have our O2 pressure controller. So our O2 pressure controller is so that we have pressurized cabin here. If we don't have pressurized cabin, the crew get a little annoyed. They get stressed because they have to sit in their basically their suits all the time, and that really stresses them. What else have we got? Right, we have our lithium hydroxide just in little tanks there. We're going to put a little bit in there, so that's lithium hydroxide. I think that's about it. We've got some food and stuff on here. I have one thing. We have a control core here that is deep space. It can go into hibernation. It can control more than this station. That's going to be in charge, which means I have turned off the avionics for these 3 pods, and I've also disabled their antenna. Have I turned off the avionics? I don't know if I've turned off the avionics for these 3 pods and turned off their antennae, because we only need 1 antenna, which is in this up here at the moment. And that has actually saved us a lot of electricity. It's actually halved the amount of electricity we're using. So that's that. So that's going to get launched on that vessel. Let's show you some updates to what's going to go and visit it, I think. Here atop of a Javelin 4, I've got it written as Javelin 4A, but I actually think it's a 4. Oh, it is a 4A. It is a 4A. I was thinking of 3M, but it isn't. It isn't a 3M. That's for something else. So on top of our Javelin 4A, which I have repositioned the solids on. Just let's see how they do this time. On top of that, we have the Janus capsule. Now, you've seen this before, sort of, when we were modifying things around. This is the Janus 1, though, so this is not the Janus Y, which we had previously. We've got pretty much our orientation control at the same position. We've changed over to using MMH MON10, which originally for a lot of my crafts after we got the bipropellants, I was using, or I have used for some of our satellites, the Erezine 50. But I've actually gone to MMH MON10 because it's denser. So I actually need less tankage to store it, which is the primary reason. We have our docking port there. I have not coloured that part in. I can just stay metal. We have some fuel cells because it's going to run on fuel cells to give itself some power. And you can see, let's have a look, electric charge. It doesn't have any coming in at the moment because we haven't turned the fuel cells on. And the rest of the craft is the same. We've put the correct heat shield on now, so we don't have that overly large heat shield. We have the Gemini heat shield, and it's got a hole in it to allow passage through. But in reality, our crew would probably crawl over the top. You'll see, this is actually something I started doing in my British series, which is putting my docking port on the back, on the bum end of it. In reality, and I don't know anybody else that does that, and it's something I do a lot, and I don't know why I shouldn't. You will probably be able to tell me why it's a bad idea. I could put this docking port right on the top of there. I would just have to build out something for the parachute and things like that, and I could deject the docking port and things like that. I like to think the docking port is on the bottom because Gemini originally, if I remember rightly, the plan was, and I think they tested this with an empty craft. The plan was to have a hatch on the bottom of the heat shield there, which would open up, and it would allow the crew to go into, I think it was the mall, the Gemini mall, the manned orbital laboratory that was originally planned for it. And they tested one of the pods that actually returned from a Gemini mission. They refurbished it and sent it up with a cutout in the heat shield to see if it actually would work, and supposedly it does. I suppose it's the same concept as tiles on Starship and on the orbiter and things, where the little gaps in the middle aren't as bad as you think because you allow the heat to dissipate underneath. I don't know. I don't know how they would do it. It's quite an interesting one. I'd imagine it would seal itself shut as soon as it starts going through re-entry, so you'd have to put a new heat shield on and things like that afterwards. Anyway, I don't think you'd be crawling out of it. So that's that. Those are going to be for that mission. We've got those building now. So let's get them launched, I think. Right. So we were going to launch our satellite, our space station, and I'm actually having a look at the timings. We've got 2 years to do that, so it's not a massive rush. So I can delay construction of that. We do have this commercial satellite contract that I need to get done. So I've put that together. I'll show you that when we actually go to launch it. I'll show you the craft actually. So that needs to move up the rankings just a little bit. That will only take 60 days to build though, so that's not a big killer for us. We have this Venus window we're going to miss unless I put a big chunk of funding into doing some development or something like that. So I think we're actually going to demote the Venus window. We're not going to do that. The Saturn window, we have a craft. We do actually have. We have this here. Where is it? Discovery 11. Discovery 11 on our first version of the low density transfer stage. Now we know that is a bit tight on margin because when we were going out to Uranus, we only just made it. So I'm aware of that. It would be tempting to send it to Saturn. However, we've got enough push on it. We could send it to Jupiter. And that would be interesting. We've got potentially quite a lot of Delta V on this craft. We could punch it out to Jupiter, use up all that Delta V, that juicy Delta V, get it there as quickly as possible. And this Jupiter window, if I actually show you, it departs in 70, start 70. It arrives, let's have a look, arrives, what's that, July 70, oh, come back, July 71. So it's about a year and a half. Now, if we just go down, this is when our previous discovery is going to arrive, and this is not the orbital one. This one potentially arrives at the end of 71, so we could put an orbital craft in orbit before our flyby hits. That would mean that we couldn't send that Saturn window there. However, for safety's sake and for reliability, if we lose the Jupiter mission, we've still got a flyby coming in. If we lose the Saturn mission, the next Saturn window, where was my next Saturn window? I don't have it on there, do I? I will find our next Saturn window. Let's find our next Saturn window. When's the next Saturn window? It'll probably be in a year's time. To Saturn, there we go, plot it. We've got that one there. The next one is, it's horrible. Let's just plot that, thank you. Right, the next window, potentially we're looking at having to go big or go home with it, because it's not brilliant. So if we don't make that one, if we just add that, that is the one I'm thinking about, isn't it? Yeah, that is the window that's really nice for Saturn. So that is a nice Saturn window. Now, do we have anything that could be ready in that time, is the question. We do. This discovery could be ready. So that could become our Saturn one. So we would have a Jupiter, then a Saturn. We'll move the Pathfinder back a bit. And then we go 412 days from now. Now, that's going to take 60 days. So we could put this one into there, which gives us our Neptune one. And then we're basically on track there. We can then put our Pathfinders for Venus in after that. So I think that's what we're going to do. It's a bit of moving around and moving parts. We do have this discovery still for doing flybys, but I think that's going to get binned. We do have this as well, so we could actually scrap those, get a bit of cash back, and I may do that. I don't really feel the need to scrap them at the moment. If we're running really low on cash, then that's something we'll do. So I think that's what we're going to do. So this is going to be our, we can rename this actually. This is going to be the Saturn mission, isn't it? We're going to put that here in brackets, so Saturn. There we go. So save that. So that's going to be our Saturn mission. This one here is going to be renamed to become our Neptune mission, and that hopefully will be ready in time. There we go. So that means we will be having craft on their way to Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune. Wonderful. And then I think we roll this out onto pad 700 ton. That can go out now. Oh, we're still reconditioning it. Okay, so that's going to go out. And then we're looking at building this in 60 days, getting that contract done. And then I think, do we want to, I think we want to get rid of the Janus actually. Yeah, we can scrap that. We can scrap that. Although we've done work on it, we can actually scrap it. Do we have any more Januses under here that we want to get rid of? We've got an Icarus, which we could get rid of. I think we will. We will actually scrap that because I'm not going to use the Icarus one-man pods. We've done all the sciences in there, I think. So scrap that. Yeah, as well. I've just set up scrap, please. Oh, is it underneath here? Oh, it is. There we go. Right, vessels. Right, that's been scrapped. That's been scrapped. Janus. Where's the Janus gone? There we are. Janus Y. Scrap that. There we go. All right, we're going to aim for that. We're going to aim for that. So those are the two windows we're looking importantly for. And then after that, it is a case of, do we go Pathfinder or do we go Dawn? Dawn takes 200 days. Pathfinders, yeah. I want to get this out of the way. Mars, I think we're going to put off. We could put an orbiter. I mean, we can send one of our a modified version of this. We've actually got the Pathfinder craft I can modify to send to Mars, and that's 400 days. So we'll think about that. We'll get these going first, though, and then decide. So let's warp forward. Let's get that Jupiter mission going, and then I think we're gonna send the Jupiter mission. I'm gonna show you how I'm going to attempt to try and get it as there as quickly as possible. So yeah, let's get to the point where we can launch it. Right, it is a cloudy night here at the Cape. You can see we're going to launch. I'm not going to show you the entire launch. We'll do the start, and probably I'll bring you back when we're going into orbital insertion and things like that. So this is again just the standard Javelin 5 that we've been working on. We're going to launch it up there. You can see yet again we have a problem with our launch clamps, which we need to fix quite quickly because we're about to launch. So what I will do is just pull those down. This is something that, you know what, should have fixed a while ago. Right, start the engines. Let's get going. Right, engines a go, and fire, off we go. Everything is decoupled. Wonderful. Right, so I am going to jump away, and I will see you, because we've got a nice light, on our way to orbit. Right, you find us back just as we're separating our next stage. There we go, engines go. So we're on to our third stage now, the one that we won't look at the bottom of the tank of because it doesn't look that pretty, and I still haven't made it pretty. Yeah, just a reminder, today is the first day, if you haven't caught it already, because I believe it's going to come out just before this episode, is the first day of March to Orbit. So give that a look, give it a try, give it some comments. Comment down below for this one, like the March to Orbit one. Tell me what you think about it. I'm going to be trying to record those in sort of really small batches, so your feedback will go straight into what is happening. It'd be really good to have a comparison between this series, the British series, and that one as to which ones you prefer the style of. But anyway, I am rocketing through this on 2x speed while we try and get into orbit. You can see, I need to actually start thinking about inclination a little bit, don't I? So we're going to be possibly heading this way a bit. Okay, just get the old inclination notification sorted. Actually, we can go back a bit. I preempted myself a little bit there. We are actually past our apoapsis. I'm not too worried about that at the moment. I'm more focused on the inclination situation. We'll do that. There we go. Just to drift that on there. There we go. That's fine. That'll be fine there, I think. Nope, bit too far the other way. Go that way. There we go. Bring it down. Right. So now we need to actually start thinking about, it would be a good idea to bring ourselves back to the fold, as it were, regarding velocity. We've not got much left on this timer, and we need to just do that and then do that. Right, there we go. It's going to pull us in nicely. We don't want to have too high a vertical speed difference when we go to there. We're going to pop that to there. We're going to get into orbit any second now. Our inclination isn't terrible, but it could be better, and I think that will do. There we go. And again, we've got over 1,000 meters per second in the tank. This thing can take a lot more, and it will take more when we actually upgrade this up stage to version B. So we're going to decouple that. Our RCS we can turn on, but we're not going to be using at the moment. Right, so we can get rid of that, and we can now start looking at what are we actually going to be aiming for. We're aiming for Jupiter with this craft. This is the one we're trying to go to Jupiter. We're trying to go quickly. We're trying to get there as quickly as possible. We don't need to go that far out. Where's Jupiter? Where have we gone? There we are. There we are. There's Jupiter. Set as target. Wonderful. All right, now there are many ways to do this, but I'm going to show you that there's a nice little thing here. We go maneuver planner, and what we're going to do is we're going to pork chop. There we go. We're going to spend excess delta V to get there quicker. We have about 8,500. What does 8,500 get me? It gets me nearby. It gets me there. So there we go, 8,900. What we're going to do is we're going to zoom into that area like so. All right, what's this down here? How far can I go down? 8,500 gets me where? I want to be about 8,000 maybe. We're not getting much more bang for our buck. Departure in 2 days? I don't want to go in 2 days. I want to go ASAP. Thank you very much. What's going on? Go here. I want to be. Let's reset that. All right. Departure in 6 hours. Go lower, please. Departure anytime now. A bit lower, bit lower, bit lower. 2 days. I want to go to about. You can see I'm looking at this number here. I want to go down to. I want to be using about 8,000 because we're going to try and use. There, that's a nice one. Anytime now. There, yeah, that's it. And that's going to take 1 year, 88 days. That's going to cut us down to. Yeah, that's beautiful. So let me create those nodes. Create that node. Ooh, it's a little tight on the 200 mark there, but we do have delta V to spare when we get there, so that's okay. So create that node. Let's have a look. Right, and you can see if you actually have a look at this, we're going to be coming in with more pace than normal. We're coming at quite an acute angle. Normally we'd be looking at rendezvousing around here. We'd do sort of a burn and come like this, and that would be what we're trying to do. We're actually going to come in. We're going to be really pushing it. We're going to have about 1,000 meters per second excess delta V. I don't know if we'll actually catch into orbit in reality. So actually, let's have a look. Let's see what's it going to take. Are we going to fly by? Because we have 1,500 now. Jupiter isn't difficult to catch in orbit, but we may not actually, because of how it was going faster like that, we may not actually have the delta V to capture. So let's have a look. Keep going. Keep going. There's a lot of delta. There we go. Right. Let's have a look. So the maneuver for that one is going to be, move this out of the way. Ah, yes. See, that's our problem. We cannot get into orbit with that. No, we can. It's this one. 2,300. We cannot get into orbit with that because we're going too fast. We put too much speed into it. So we'll reset this, and we're going to go for, let's have a look, we'll reset all that. We're going to go for something a little bit more sensible. Maybe about, that's any time. About here? That's any, no, I want to go about there. Put me about, oh, that was lovely actually. That was absolutely lovely. That one there. That's okay, I suppose. So let's create that node. Right, so that's going to give us, we're not going to use all of the delta V there, but it's not bad. And so then let's see how much this is going to be to capture, because that's the important thing. We want to use about 1,000 for capture, 1,200. Right, okay. That's a capture. How much of a capture is it though? How much less can I go? Right, it is, right, that's gone there. So I'm just looking for this, I don't know if you can see it on the screen because of YouTube's compression. This red line here is post our maneuver, and you'll see it pops back around here. We're just waiting for that to appear. Let's have a look, go across to maneuver 2, and it is using 1,000, that's perfect for us. So that's the maneuver we're gonna do. We can't really use all of this delta V, okay? But that's fine, we can utilize a bit of it. You can see we're gonna be in a really high orbit of Jupiter, which we can probably bring down a bit, but it's gonna give us some interesting signs. I think we'll spend very little time around Jupiter, and we're unlikely to get any interactions with the moons or anything like that. In fact, what's the plane of our, oh, actually we're not too far off the plane, so at that altitude we could get some clever maneuvers up here. It's going to be years in between each flight, but we could get some clever maneuvers here and see if we can get an interaction with a moon or something. That would be really interesting. I don't know where the ascending descending node is going to be relative to the moons. I think we're probably looking at it being down here, so that's probably not going to be something we change, but we'll have a look at it. We'll have a think. What we really wanted was to actually have the ascending or descending node about here, and that would mean that our ascending and descending node would be out at the apoapsis. That would have been beautiful, but we're not going to get that, I don't think. We might get potentially an interaction with a moon on the inner side there, maybe one of these inner moons, but they are very small, and you know, Io, Europa, they've not got much in the way of gravity, so their sphere of influence is going to be small. We're probably not going to get an interaction, but it'd be nice to think we could. Right. I've got to wait for an hour for that. We could go slightly later. With the hope of having a nicer sort of push. In fact, that is tempting actually, because we can afford to lose a bit of delta V from this and go slightly later. How far can we go is the question. No, I think we'll stay with where we are. It's not bad. I think it's going to have us come in after Discovery 10, which is fine, because you know, Discovery 10 is the one that's supposed to get there first. It's got some of the science equipment. It's going to do the flyby. Then this can do the orbit, and that's not a big problem for us. All right. So I think what we will do is we will now put back to our craft. There we go. Hello. There we are. We're going to just warp time forward to the point of departure, which is in about an hour. So we'll do that reasonably quickly, like so. Oh, Jupiter Discovery. That's that one there, isn't it? Yeah, that's running out of battery. Whoop-de-doodles. We don't care about that. We have battery power. That's not a problem. So we're going to hit the node. We've got a 6-minute burn. Oh, actually, what we need to do, because I've now set up an additional maneuver node, which will really confuse absolutely everything. Can I? Oh wait, have we got signal? We don't have. Do we have? We have signal. Why is it not letting me close that node? Right. Let's do that. Do the right click and do that. There we go. Right. We now only have the one node to worry about. That's okay. Do that. Get back. Ooh, you get to see Croggle the Earth there. That's quite scary. Right. So we're gonna get this thing going. I hope that doesn't drift through us like the last time, but we'll see what's going on. We may have to note to self. You have still not put in the. That's gonna touch us, isn't it? We've still not put in the retros onto that upstage, and I don't think I'm actually going to do it. I think I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to talk about doing it, and I'm never actually going to do it. Yeah, that's going to go through us. Oh, this is going to be horrible. Get through quickly, please. Yeah, those would have bumped into each other, so I'm allowing myself to do that. That's terrible. I should cut that out. You should enjoy that. It's terrible. It's a cheaty thing to do. The problem we've got is it's going to come back around in an orbit and do the exact same thing because we're basically orbiting on this path now. We're at 20 minutes. Oh, it's actually moving a long way away from us now. You look at the size of that tiny little probe there. That's embarrassing, isn't it? It's tiny. Right, 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes. We'll do that. I think I'm gonna let Maneuver Planner do the burn. I think that's probably a good idea. We can let Maneuver Planner do the burn and see how it did, because I think I did the last one, didn't I? Yeah, I did the last one with this craft, and we had that odd spinning at the end, which I think was when the fuel ran out. But we'll see. Right, so there we go. We've got node in that time there. Let's execute the node. Yeah, let's do that. Let's see how that goes, and then I will stage the actual. Ooh, we're going. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no. Can I do a little? Do that. Just do that. No. Right. We're gonna have to do a little bit of emergency shifting here. Just to the side, and then come on. I've got to go. I think we get past it now. I think we're past it. Oh, it's tight. Yeah, there we go. That was fine. That was nothing to see there. Nothing to worry about. That was fine. Perfect. Right, we're gonna fast forward this a bit because as we are now, we know for a fact this thing is going to be playing silly with us for a while. So what I will do is I will I'm going to jump to when we've gone through 5 minutes of burning, and I will see you after about 5 minutes. Right, so I've managed to get the time warp to actually go up, and I want to show you what I've done while we've been flying through space like this. I've clicked on our tanks because I have these top and bottom hemispheres which are treated as separate tanks. I was wondering whether they actually trigger the engines to cut off sooner because we've got fuel shared between all of the tanks. So what I've actually done is I've set the priority on this one to much higher, so it got used first. To imagine we've got the fuel running down. Then I've got this one a little bit higher than the bottom one, and so the bottom one is our lowest priority. So I only did this part way through the burn, so you can actually see it's running down. So it'll be interesting to see just how much delta V wise we actually end up going. Will this? I'm assuming this tank is the one that's going to cause us to stop, but I don't know. So it'd be quite interesting. I'm sure there's a little workaround somewhere or some oddities going on, but we'll see what happens. So we're down to the final push, and of course that final bit of tank is actually going to give us most of our stuff. Actually, it's going to be the final push that just takes us out there. We can do maneuvers with this as well, which will be fine. We can refine the maneuvers. We can also refine the maneuvers with the RCS on this thing because it's quite maneuverable in comparison to previous vessels, shall we say. So there we go. Those fuels are going down. This should hopefully work. So this should actually take us as low as possible. I got 500 meters per second. We're actually going to see how much. Now I think last time we had about 300 meters per second or something in the tank at the end. So there we go. That tank's now run out, has it? And there we go. We're on it. Okay, so we didn't even use that bottom tank actually. That is interesting. We're going to shut down those engines. Shut down that one because otherwise it will fire up a random burst of stuff. And we can just use the RCS to refine that a little bit. And we'll let it do its RCS refinement. There we go. There we go. It's refined itself. How wonderful. Right, actually, you know what? I'm jumping backwards and forwards here. Let's close these tanks off first. Thank you. Before we actually decouple, which will throw us randomly all over the place as well, let's actually have a look. What's our path looking like? We can actually close this. We don't need to worry about that. Right. Okay. So let's put us in orbital prograde. That's the way to do it. And we're going to look at this because we are well away from what we were aiming for there. And sometimes you do get this, just the way that the burns go. So what we're going to do is go. Okay, well, yeah, we'll bring it in. So our RCS is going to bring it in, but the question is how far is it going to bring it in? So currently we're firing prograde, so we actually lost some prograde burns somewhere on that. Possibly a bit of steering loss and things like that. I don't know. Possibly as we rubbed against the third stage that we were decoupling from. Please comment down below until I do it to remind me to put some sort of retros on that upper stage because it's going to kill me. or just to uprate the decoupler's force, just to push us away a bit from it. Although saying that, it might mean that we come in at a bit of a thing. So I don't know. What we could do is we could actually do a little realignment while we're on our way to Jupiter, just to give us a more of an in-plane. Oh, now that was interesting. What was that? What interaction did we have then? Was it something in-planetary? Oh. Now what's that? That is interesting. What happened there? Did we hit something on the way? No. Oh. Oh my. Now that is interesting. That's a Ganymede encounter. Oh, that's killer. That would be beautiful. Oh dear. We could get a Ganymede flyby. Oh, that's tempting, isn't it? Do we go for the orbit? Do we go for the Ganymede flyby? What would happen? What would happen if I needed to do a burn here? What would happen? Oh, no, we hit Ganymede on the way in. Oh, now that is interesting. See, that becomes very interesting. So if we go on a flyby past Ganymede, how much do I need to put in of a maneuver to zero this out? Do I have the delta V to get that Ganymede flyby and zero? No, I don't. Oh, that's a killer. Right, so we're going to lose the Ganymede flyby. And can I accept the Ganymede flyby? I can't. I can't accept it, but that does mean that we're going to be potentially having interactions. Okay. So Ganymede would be a lovely little flyby. We're never going to get to orbit it. But a little flyby past Ganymede. Oh, what's the time period? So there's the encounter, the escape, and it's literally, it's a 5-minute encounter. We get nothing out of it apart from a chunk of science. We would get science out of it though. What would you do? Comment down below. What would you do? Do I go for this? Do I go for a Ganymede encounter? Damn it. When is this going? When would this happen? Right, set maneuver node there. Then let's pull up this. Right, that maneuver is after the Discovery 10. Is it? No, it's in 1 day. How is that in 1 day? How is that in 1 day? It's not in 1 day. Get rid of that. Right, have I got a maneuver now? No, it's saying it's in 1 day again. This maneuver is not in 1 day. Right, what about that? Nope, go away. It says it's in 1 day. How is that in 1 day? Like, serious. It's because it's in a different sphere of influence, it's throwing it off, maybe. Possibly. Right. Let's do the maths. How long is it until that? Right, it is going to be 550 days. That doesn't arrive. Oh, damn it. That doesn't arrive until 683 days. Oh, I'm going to have to give it up. Yeah, I think we have to go for the orbit. Yeah, I think we do. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, so we know we can do it though. We know we could get a Ganymede carrier. It's only 25 minutes. I'm not going to get much science from it if I did it. The crafter would probably get, well, it might get a lot of science, but it's not going to get all of the science, so we'd have to send something else. So let's just keep going. Past the Ganymede encounter. That's really annoying though. And we want to get this nice and low, don't we? I don't know how much delta V we've got left in these RCS thrusters. I can't remember how much I put in them, if I'm honest. And there's no point me looking up here because they're aerosine, and I've just got aerosine for days. So there we go. Right, how close do we want to get? That's now within the limit, but I want to get close. I want to get tight to this. How tight can we get before we hit atmosphere, basically, is what I'm looking at. So look at the shadow. Right. Oh, what was that? Did I just get another encounter? There is something. There is something that I'm encountering there. I think it's a second Jupiter encounter. Yeah, I think it is a second Jupiter encounter. Yeah, look. So we're going to come back there, and then we'd have another encounter, X number of years later, with Jupiter. Let's have a look. We come through. We come like that. Then we come out of there into an odd orbit. I don't really see the steps, but anyway, let's have a look. Right, we're just going to bring this in. We're getting too carried away with just how close we can get to other things. So let's have a look. Where's the edge of that? There we are. We can see the slight contrast there, and I can bring it in as close as possible. And we're going to bring it in really, really close. I'd like to just skim the atmosphere in an ideal world. I don't actually know how high Jupiter's atmosphere is. Need to be aware of that, potentially. We could actually be heading into the atmosphere. I think it treats it as 0, though. I think it shows it on there, so that's not a concern. Yeah, I think we're okay. So we are, 5,000 kilometers up. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure we're not going to hit the atmosphere there. That's a nice close skim by of Jupiter, though. And then we'll capture, hopefully around it. I think we should have the delta V to capture at that point. I'm not sure how much more delta V we'll have. But we should be able to do that. And I know I've just realized we're about to decouple, and that's going to throw this whole thing off, isn't it? So let's just decouple. There we go. And that's now thrown us off, hasn't it? Yeah, I bet you it has. Let's have a look. Oh no, we're not too bad actually. It's given us a tiny little push because we've got everything set down to minimum. 1.2 suggest is, you know what, do set your decouplers to very low when you've got craft like this, because yeah, they have a habit of being problematic. So we'll turn that on. We'll get all of our science equipment turned on as well. Oh, isn't that nice little view there over the top there? We'll do that. Ooh, that's lovely. You can see we're drifting backwards now into that space there. So this is actually going to give us a bump. So what I could do is put this and do N. Can we do N? We got anything? You're out of electricity, aren't you? No, you're not. That's interesting. Why have you got no tankage left? Is that, oh, we've been using the tanks up here. Oh, now. If I'd have known that, I wouldn't have been doing this. Yeah, we've actually used some of our aeromazine. Let's, you know what we're going to do? We're actually going to, because I'm concerned about the bumping. Right, there we go. We're now going to move off it, are we? Are we moving away now? No, we're actually stuck on each other. Are we drifting at all? My concern is this is potentially going to cause us problems. Let's do that and let us just drift sideways. Yeah, that's better. We'll let this just move off. It's not going to have signal. That's part of the reason why I don't mind the fact that we use some of the RCS on this to do those steerings, because we don't actually have signal to do the maneuvers anyway at this point. We'd have to do it while attached because we've got really not got any sort of short range antennas. Oh, RCS off. Oh, yee. What has that done to us? Oh no. No. Okay, no, that's fine. We don't have signal, so we can't do anything with it anyway. That keeps us at the 5,000 point. That's fine. That's not a problem for us actually. I don't think that's going to be a problem for us. Yeah, we look as though we're above atmosphere. I don't know if this is the atmosphere it is or the atmosphere will be above that, but we will see. So we are on our way to Jupiter with this. Next episode, I suppose we should get that communication satellite done. This thing took a lot longer than I thought it would. We'll set it up to do some science while we're here. Can we? No, we can't, obviously. We'll just do that. Right, so this thing's going to just float randomly around now. We have that. That's it actually departing, isn't it? We can close that window down. So this thing's going to depart the sphere of influence when... We've got two of these. Why is there two? Oh, that's the probe. Get rid of the probe. We want this one. So this is the thing we want. And there we go. We've got signal now. That's fine. And we can actually activate our equipment, get all that going, running and doing all of its stuff. That's good. That's armed. Is this on? Magnetic scanner. Is that on? Why are these things not running? There we are. Pressure scanner. There we go. Oh, there was obviously a glitch in the software there. Right. So this thing is now on course, hopefully, for the Jupiter mission. So we're going to just fast forward it until it's in interplanetary space, outside the sphere of influence of Earth. Obviously, if we were playing on something with n-body physics, then we wouldn't actually have that. We wouldn't have spheres of influence and stuff. But we're working with patch conics, so you get this sort of get it out of the sphere of influence and so forth. All right, what are we doing? What's going on? Have I run out of electricity? No, I haven't. I haven't run out of electricity. What are you talking about? Right. I'm guessing that's the other one. Right, we're just going to do that. I'm annoyed about that interaction there with Ganymede. That would have been really cool. However, you know what? It is what it is. We may be able to get something once we pop ourselves into orbit. You know what's going to happen? I'm going to get there and find that I don't have enough delta V to get into orbit, and that's going to kill me even more. I would love to be able to plot a few interactions with moons and things like that, and that's one thing that I would really suggest while you're doing these things with these missions. Have an eye out for moon encounters, because even, you know, if it's not going to change your course too much, either you can get it to change your course a little bit, you can get an inclination change out of it, or more importantly, you can get a little bit of science. You could use it for a bit of aero braking if you're really, really lucky, and you can bring yourself down into different orbits, things like that. So it's potentially worth quite a bit of a time to get, particularly around some of the more interesting bodies like Jupiter. It's a bit like when you play Joule in stock. You can do a little bit of jumping around the moons a little bit. Obviously, you don't have the delta V allowance that you would go into Joule, because Joule is just an easier place to jump around. But yeah, there's enough moons there to keep you busy. 1, 2, 3, 4 on there, and I think that's all there is. Yeah, there's just the 4 or 5 there. Yeah, it's not too bad. 1, 2, 3, but yeah, 4. Saturn, same thing. You can jump between all of the different bodies there, and again, that's potentially a lot of science out there and a lot of missions. If you get flyby missions, I don't know if they require new craft. I'd have to have a look. We should maybe have a look at that. Once we've gone past Jupiter, we'll actually be able to see whether the flybys require new craft. In fact, we can do that now, because we've got the moons of Mars we could look at. We'll maybe do that, a quick look at that in the next episode. But from me, until next time, have a great one. Oh, and remember to check out the new series. Check out the new series.